Okay, I really am truly excited to get into this, so I want to get into this. Uh, First of all, first and foremost, that you have to keep in mind, and I will say more than once, I am not a gaming channel because I am not a gamer. I was at one point, I am not anymore. I am not a gamer, this is not a gaming channel. However, not my script. The first time I remember playing a game on the computer was when I was around maybe 8, is the best me and my sister can figure. 8, 9, somewhere in there. And y'all would call me so old if you heard the kind of games that I was actually playing at that point. I mean, a later game that I played, probably closer to when I was like 12 or something, was a version of Clue that was literally lines on the screen with a letter moving into a room and words describing stuff for me. There was like no graphics. It was just words. And I'm telling you, I think there were sounds involved or something, but I'm telling you, for just words and stuff, the amount of creepy crawly chills you got when you walked into the room and it's like, there's blood on the floor, and you're like, ah! And oh, wow. Wow. What they could do back then with just basically words, like, we have lost so much creative ability in this day and age, I'm telling you, but I'm off script. A console? I didn't have one of those until probably the early 2000s. A PlayStation. Never in my life have I had any other console but a PlayStation 1 and 2. Never had Xbox, never had any of the hand ones, nothing. It's PlayStation 1 and 2, those are the only ones I've ever had. All the rest have been good old board games and computer games. So, was I ever a full-blown gamer? You bet I was, and here's the receipts to prove that I was. These are all games that I used to play on a regular basis for many years, and as you can see, if you know anything about those games, you can tell how different the gameplay is between them. Some of them are very, very different gameplay from each other. All kinds of different parts of your brains, dexterity with your fingers. Like, those were all computer games and stuff, so, like, you know, fingers on the keyboard, using your mouse, all that kind of stuff. I was a full-blown gamer for many years when I was, like, early to mid-teens. Then I got into the Final Fantasy series with a side note of Chrono Cross and Chrono Trigger, and even later than that, Dark Cloud 1 and Dark Cloud 2, and even later than that, I finally actually played the game Kingdom Hearts 1, and I hated it. Nobody really seemed interested in me doing that. In fact, people disliked my Kingdom Hearts reaction, probably because I dissed Disney, because I don't like Disney. I am, like, sick and tired of Mickey Mouse, what they've done with him, and I hate Donald and Goofy in that game. It was really fun doing the tutorial section of Kingdom Hearts. I was laughing so hard and having so much fun doing that one, but talk about the nostalgia putting rose-colored glasses on your face. When I'm, like, playing the island part, the very first part, the videos and everything with that, and Riku and Kairi and Sora, that's like nostalgia to the nth degree. But once I actually started playing the game, I ended up so mad at it. I hate the gameplay in that one so much. I don't think I've ever hated a gameplay more than I hate that one. They were intentionally making that thing the hardest game you could possibly make it. It's easy mode, sure. Don't get me started. I hated it so much. And then you get into the story of it. I hate, like, practically everything about the story about it. Oh, there were so many horrible, horrible messages. Take the worst messages Disney has ever given you, and take the worst messages that Square Enix, or whatever they're called at the moment, has ever given you, and mash them together, and that's Kingdom Hearts. My word, I hate it on so many different levels for so many different reasons. And Sora, I used to really like him, that I'm watching or playing that game, and I'm like, he has got such a hero complex. Oh my gosh, kid. Oh my gosh, you and your hero complex. And like I say, I hate Donald. Absolutely hate Donald, and Goofy is just irritating. Stupid game. Hate it. I'm so mad that I hated it that much when I was playing it, because it's like, you know, rose-colored glasses suddenly taking off. You're like, how dare you destroy my nostalgia, guys? Oh, once you actually get to playing it. So it's probably a good thing that nobody seemed interested in me going any further, because, yeah, very shortly after that video where I was laughing so hard and having such a good time, I got so mad, and I stayed mad for the rest of it. It's probably a good thing I didn't go any further. My channel, therefore, is not a gaming channel, and it never will be a gaming channel, because I am not a gamer anymore. But what it is in large is breaking down stories, and the characters within those stories, and the messages that are promoted by one or the other, or both, the characters of the stories, And I truly, really honestly, more than anything, want people to think about things. That is the goal of my channel lately, is for people to start thinking about things like, what is a well done story and why is it well done? Why do we like some characters and why should we actually not like other characters? Going right into why we should and should not like certain characters are, what are these stories conditioning us to accept or to justify or to hold up in some way when we should actually be disgusted or repulsed or at least a little bit disturbed by what we're being told instead? In other words, I really want people to go back to the days when we used to use our brains, even while we were turning them off, to enjoy the escape of a good old story. And I could clip that and use that as the video introduction to my channel, because that is pretty much what I have been trying to do lately. Which is why I'm kind of sad when people don't watch my videos, because even if I'm wrong about some stuff, my goal is to make you start thinking, because I want you to notice these things. What is it that you're letting into your brain without even realizing you're letting it into your brain? Because it is a story, so it's harmless, or because it's an actor that you've seen in a million other things, so you're so familiar with this face, you love this face, and you turn off your brain and stop thinking about what this character is doing. Of course, in games, it's a little different because it's not actors, it's a different face every time, so it is disconnected that way. But I'm off script again, and this is going to take a long time. In light of everything I just said, even though I'm not a gaming channel and never will be, don't worry about that. If you don't want to watch these videos because you think it's all about the gaming, it's not. I talk a lot about the gaming, but I'm not a gaming channel. And if you are here because you think I'm going to talk about the gamings, I'm sorry, this is probably will your leave, because I'm not a gaming channel. I'm for sure someone with ADHD though, and that I already stated in my channel description that what I'd post depends on my mood and my energy level. And it has actually been quite a while now that I have on and off been thinking that I would actually like to do some videos on the Final Fantasy series. In large part and mostly focused on the stories and characters. Because that is what I'm into now. Like, ever since I found that type of game, that's pretty much all I ever play. If I play games anymore, it's Dark Cloud, it's the Final Fantasy games, the story games, the RPGs, role-playing games. That's what I play now, because I'm a story person. I'm actually not a gamer anymore. Where was I? I went off script again. I will be talking about the game where it can be applied. Because that's already getting off into one of my trails. Where it can be applied. I.e., the difference between this is a movie and this is a game. Because the Final Fantasy series used to be a series of games. But it has left that in the dust of calling itself a game at this point is just an insult to the one playing it. It left all of that in the dust quite a while ago. They're not games anymore. The further you go, they're not games anymore. And I kind of meant to focus and explain what I meant by that, but I don't know. If you listen to me ramble long enough, maybe you'll be able to tell the difference, but like, Final Fantasy 16, I started it and I made a comment, and maybe I'll just insert what I said here. They use the stupidest tactics to get you involved in playing it. Literally, you're watching the opening thing where, I don't remember if there's a Firebird and something, and they're fighting, and it's literally a movie, and they're literally fighting as they're falling, and all of a sudden, it's me that's gotta tell it to attack or dodge. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? In the middle of a movie, you drag this movie out to have me telling whether it's gonna fight or avoid. I'm like, are you ever gonna stop falling? This is so stupid. And then later, when they're running, my point was, when they're running, you're running after everybody, and all of a sudden in the middle of this movie, all you can do is tell them to run or jump or whatever, and I'm like, what you're controlling them to do makes literally no difference. You cannot change the course of action of what is happening. What is going to happen is going to happen because this is a movie. You cannot change it with your actions. Therefore, this is not a game, this is a movie. Why are you interrupting it with me having to press the run button? This is so stupid. I'm sorry, it is straight up stupid. There's no other word for it. You're trying to force this to be a game when it's a movie. You're claiming it's a game. You're releasing it as a game, so you have to try to make it a game, and that's how you make it a game. This is idiotic. Just leave it as a movie. This is so stupid. I pushed through and recorded all of the videos yesterday because I didn't want to suddenly be wearing something completely different, especially partway through a reaction. However, I just wanted to say quick, this is another example of it's a game versus it's actually not a game. Versus, I mean, like, different types of game is more accurate. Because I made the comment in FF9 about, like, the hunt, the chocobo hunt thing that you can do. It's a side thing. And in Final Fantasy XII, part of the reason why it took me so long to play that game actually was because of the hunts. And here we have there's two different kinds of gaming stuff within a game, right? Final Fantasy used to have more of like Final Fantasy VII, where it's you playing the main story. The main story cannot progress or happen or can be slightly shifted. At least your ability and how you're playing it and all the rest of that can get slightly shifted because of the choices that you have to make. You can alter stuff slightly in the main story with the main characters. Versus what they're doing a whole lot more often now, rather than the main story itself being uninterrupted, aside from you not being able to accomplish what you were supposed to accomplish, so you have to try again, it's side quests. Okay, side quests can be really fun and interesting. If you want to play a game and go back, especially if you want to play it more than once and you want to accomplish all these side quests and all the rest of that stuff, it's really fun, so it's still a form of gaming and it's good. But it's not the same thing that I missed that they used to do, because the thing is, the story, the actual story, the main theme of the game is over there, while you're over here completely interrupting it. So, like, you know, a game, if you're playing the game and you don't do any of the side quests, you could probably complete it in 8 hours, but with the side quests, you end up taking, like, 24, and you're like, oh, this game is so long and cool, and then you're like, hold on, but wait a minute, it's not really, because half of that, at least, was actually not the game, it was the side games. So it's kind of like when you're watching a drama and you've got the main story and then you've got the side characters and their story. And you're like, you could actually cut all of that out and not even notice. In some dramas, you literally could cut all of the side character story out and you would not notice, because it's literally completely irrelevant to this story. So you could watch that one or you could watch this one, and they barely ever intersect, because these guys are friends. So occasionally, the further you go, the less often they really have important conversations, and you could pretty much completely cut that out and not even notice. And that's what games have been doing recently. Like Final Fantasy, that's one of the things that makes them less of a game than they used to be, is the fact that the gaming part of it, the part that you are doing, is the side quests. It's not the actual game that you are responsible for, like you were in Final Fantasy VII. So, there's another example of the difference between it used to be a game, it was a game, and now it's more of a movie. The actual story, the actual game, the actual theme of it is a movie. And you're like, let's watch a movie, and then we're going to go and game a little bit, and let's watch a movie, and we're going to kind of game a little bit, and then we're... With all of that in mind, I could talk about every Final Fantasy game I've played for 8+ hours straight, at least, because one, nostalgia, which is a whole topic that I've been recently wanting to talk about, because it's actually crazy and perhaps a little scary what nostalgia does to your brain. Have you ever stopped and thought about what nostalgia does to your brain? Like, when you think about something and you get all the nostalgic feels and you're like, oh, I love it! Is it that you actually loved? Or is it everything about the place it takes you back to that you actually loved? What are you actually loving here when you say you love something, when nostalgia is the one controlling what you're saying? And two, there is so much to say about the stories and the characters and the gameplay where it applies, especially in stuff like Final Fantasy VII. I could actually talk for 12+ hours about that one probably right off the bat, because it's so much bigger than most of the others, because they crossed over into books and movies and short little comic drama anime things and stuff like that. And that's even and other games as well, spin-off games, and all of that is even before you get into the whole separate, what do I even call that, known as Rebirth, which I will stop and not say anything else about right now. So yeah, 8 to 12 hours plus. I could ramble on and on and on, which means no matter how much I say, I could easily have said more. And this is all within the context of the actual canon of the story, because I have zero interest in running off into the weeds of theories that do not fit or have been absolutely 100% debunked by the official sources, and yet people will not stop trying to forcefully force them into the canon. Stop it. If you come into my comments and do that, if you are here and you are a fanatic about Final Fantasies and you have all your crazy theories and you've decided that they work or whatever, or you have a fan fiction and you have your couple that you ship and all of this stuff, that is completely different. I have no interest in that. Please don't do that in my comments. You are welcome to leave a comment. I want people to leave comments. I want people to engage. But I don't want any of that in my comments. And I will very likely delete it if I see it, because it just makes me so irritated so fast. But what I'd like to do for now is talk briefly about each game in the series by itself, i.e. in a separate video. So this is going to be a series of videos, and see what happens from there. Some of the videos will definitely be longer than others because I remember more about the games, and we'll get into that. Or I know more about them because I played them more, or whatever. But again, no matter what I talk about, no matter how long I talk about it, just be aware and remember that there is a ton more I could have said. Because, yeah, time constrictions and memory constrictions, etc., and also the fact that I am not a gaming channel, altogether prevent me from, spending 100 plus hours on the Final Fantasy series. That's, for now at least, I wrote myself a script and I'm going to stay on it better than I did on this one. Okay, my dog came into the room and totally interrupted me. No matter how much I say, I could easily have said a ton more, because come on, I'm a story critiquer. Final Fantasy, even the smaller ones, actually have big enough stories and enough characters that and then there's a whole gameplay aspect of it. You could talk about these things for a long time, but I'm going to keep it brief. I swear it's going to be brief, no matter how long it is. If you don't think it's brief, believe me, it's brief. But that's what I'm going to do for now. If anybody wants more, then leave in the comments and I will make more. But what I'm doing right now is going to be probably mostly all I'm going to do, unless later on I add Final Fantasy 13 and Final Fantasy 16. We'll get there. Last overall mention is that when I say the Final Fantasy series, I mean Final Fantasy 1 through Final Fantasy 16, without Tactics or Dissidia or all of those, because when you add those in there, I refer to that as the Final Fantasy world rather than the Final Fantasy series. And the Final Fantasy world is almost entirely foreign. It's an almost entirely foreign entity to me, because while I've seen some of the videos involving some of those things, there's a whole bunch of the games I have no clue even exist, let alone knowing what the content is. So there's no point in going there. I'm talking about the Final Fantasy series, not the Final Fantasy world. So, now, let's get into this, and I hope you enjoy. And like I say, feel free to leave comments, but please keep them clean, please keep them unargumentative, because I have no interest in starting heated debates about theories, etc., etc. I have no interest in any of that. So please keep them clean. Please keep them polite. And, have fun and enjoy. Bye.